Sagittarius, this is your astrology forecast for July 2015. Thank you for joining me. My name is Gregory Scott and I'm going to have a really in-depth look at your astrology for this month, okay? I'm going to have a look at the planets, the luminaries, the relationships they form, what aspects they make to each other, and really how that impacts you. I'm not going to have a look at the tarot. I'm just really going to have a very detailed look at the astrology and see what that will bring. So to get started here, on the first of the month, you really start the month with a situation that presents you with certain problems and a solution to the problem. And it's a T-square. So a T-square is an opposition, so two planets being 180 degrees away from each other, and then two squares, 90 and 90, and coming to a culmination point where you are able to solve that problem. The opposition is between the moon in Capricorn in your second house, and Mars and the Sun in your 8th house in Cancer. I don't particularly feel like you're very happy with the amount of money that you're making. I don't think you're particularly happy with the people you work with. I think you're a little bit irritable. And the solution to that is not to focus on the personalities, but to focus on doing a better job and to focus on doing the actual work. So I know that's a bit of a tough lesson. But it's important for you not to think just because you don't get on with everybody that the job's no good. The job is good. It's just, you know, people have egos. Sometimes it's a little bit irritating, but by focusing on the good job that you do, and you are very good at your job, you are able to relieve some of that tension, some of those feelings of irritability. Your ascendant is in Virgo in the 10th, which means that you're very clear and very practical about the kind of job that you do. That squares your midheaven, which is in Gemini, in the 7th. So I really feel that you're kind of struggling with the communicative side of things. I think you feel like you have an idea of what you're doing, and I feel like you know more than other people, or you feel like you know more than other people. And other people are kind of irritating you and presenting you with a lot of friction and resistance. So both of those are ruled by Mercury, and the way out of that and the way to resolve that kind of conflict is to continue to communicate and not to make judgments that have no backup, but to be really clear on what it is you're trying to do and continuing to just kind of give people the benefit of the doubt, to do the work that you need, and to kind of wait for this period to pass. These two are squaring each other from the 1st of July through until the 30th of July. So you have a really good opportunity here to be very productive and to work very consistently at what it is you do, and to focus on the subject matter and not the people so much. Mercury also sextiles Uranus in the 5th, which indicates to me that there's a real sense of wanting to have fun. So again, another dichotomy, but to be a little bit rebellious in terms of the way you interact with people, maybe to be a little bit silly, to travel, to just enjoy yourself, to have people look at you, to have people find you attractive, to connect with people on an intimate level, and not to do so much talking. So I think the problem really so far, Sagittarius, is not that other people are saying the wrong things or anything like that, but I think you're very focused on what you want to hear right now, and I don't think you have a lot of tolerance or patience for anything that doesn't match your worldview. So I don't think so much the problem is other people and the way they're behaving, but it's that you have a very clear idea of the way things ought to be. Okay, so try and be a little bit more open-minded so that you don't have conflict in your life and that you can do the things you want without feelings of irritation and annoyance. Okay? The full moon occurs on the 2nd of July, and a full moon is a blossoming and it's a culmination. And the full moon is blossoming in your second house of money and practical circumstances, and Pluto is also retrograde and conjunct to that full moon. What that means is there's a real blossoming in your financial life, and I think the 2nd of July is a great day for you financially. I think that you will either have a lot of money saved, or you will receive more money, but I think that you're in a very good place and there's a lot of life and activity in terms of your practical circumstances. Saturn squares Venus from the 3rd of July through until the 15th of August, okay? So this is the next day and it's almost a month and a half. So Saturn is right on top of your ascendant, and that's really what's making you so rigid in terms of what you want to hear and what you don't want to hear, because Saturn is structure and it's limitation and it's, you know, this is the way it is, this is the way it's always been, I'm not interested in what anyone else has to say. And that's really putting a real sense of blinkeredness on you this month, and that squares Venus, and Venus is right on top of your chart at the noon position, and there's going to be a desire to do things your way, but a way to loosen that up is to go with Venus and to explore new things. So actively try and be more open-minded. Actively go to workshops and listen to other people's views, opinions on things. Try and figure out how other people live their lives. Go on a journey. Broaden your horizon and actively work against that Saturn and say, you know, things aren't as rigid as I necessarily think they are, and I can make moves to deliberately open myself up to that. Now, the Sun trines Neptune from the 24th of June through until the 9th of July. And the Sun is in Cancer in the 8th, and your Neptune is in your 4th in Pisces. Okay, and what that means is that you have a real sense of belonging, and you feel really connected with your family during this time, and you really feel a strong sense of identity with the people nearest to you. Again, those are probably going to be the people who agree with the way you think, the way you see the world. So it's interesting that you're very clear on who you are, and you're really the archetypal teacher, the stereotypical teacher this month, which is, I know everything and you are all ignorant and I'm here to teach you. So it's really important to shake that up a little bit, because that puts people off. And it also creates circumstances where you miss opportunities and you don't learn things that you could potentially learn because you're so blocked off. Mercury goes into Cancer on the 9th of July. So let's look at that. And that joins your Sun, Mars, midheaven in Cancer in the 8th house. And this is interesting because what this does is it forces you to look at your circumstances and the people in your life, and it will make you think about where you want to go. So again, there may be a sense of dissatisfaction, or there may be a feeling of this isn't really ideal. The important thing is to continue to be diplomatic and to treat people with respect, but at the same time to realize, well, this doesn't suit me exactly. Where do I see myself in 5-10 years from now? How can I add something to the world that is of more value? Or how can I do something that I really feel is right and that I can do to progress spiritually, rather than kind of be in a situation where I feel like things aren't going my way? Because that's frustrating for anyone, and you want to be in a position where you can contribute and where you can feel like your words and your actions are creating value and beauty for other people. There's a T-square on the 11th of July, and that is between your Saturn, right on top of your ascendant, and your Moon in Taurus in the 6th. And the outcome, so things come to a head on this day. Your frustration with work and the way you see yourself, I think it could end up in an argument. I think it could clash. And the way to resolve that is to really, really focus on other people's points of view, to really open yourself up deliberately and to say, my way is not the right way. So I think you become a little bit stubborn at this time on the 11th, and things come to a head. So to avoid a big blow up, just, you know, have a talk with yourself in the morning and say, today is the day when really I'm going to dig my heels in the most. And the solution to that is to connect with the emotional, intuitive side and to kind of feel my way through the situation and to be considerate of other people. Mars has been in conjunction with the Sun since the beginning of June, and it comes to an end now on the 12th of June. So this is good news because I think the pressure now will start to ease off. I think you'll become more receptive to other people's points of view. Pluto also now stops opposing the Sun, which means that especially in your working life, you're not going to be so rigid, and I think you're really going to open up emotionally and start to listen to other people. So it's a sigh of relief. So the first 14 days of the month really are when you have to really work hard to keep things open-minded, to keep things constructive, productive, and to actively try and seek to build positive relationships with people in your working life. It's not, it's not always easy, especially when we get a little bit fed up with things. Venus, on the other hand, has been conjunct with Jupiter since the 17th of June and stays there until the 13th of August. And this is good because this is in your 9th house of exploration and travel. So it is a good time to learn new things. And I think from the 14th onwards, you're actually going to be open and receptive to that. So 14th of July onwards is a good time to go traveling, to do a workshop. Or in fact, I think going traveling is good for you anytime this month, okay? But learning something new is better from the 14th onwards because you're actually going to be open and receptive to hearing other people's views and opinions. The new moon occurs on the 16th of the month, and that's in your 8th house. This is a good opportunity for you to really set some intentions and plant some seeds of how you would like to come across, how you would like your relationships with other people to be, and to take practical action around that. So if you have been in this company and people have irritated you for 6 years, then it may be time to take some action and to get out of that situation. If there is a pattern that keeps coming up in your life where you are friends with someone but it never lasts, it kind of fizzles out after 3 to 6 months, then practical action around how to build better relationships with people. If it's a sense of constantly feeling victimized or people aren't loyal to you, then what can I do to get rid of this feeling? Do I do cognitive behavior therapy? Do I go to a workshop on how to build friendships or professional working relationships? Or there are always, these days there are so many ways of resolving our problems, and there's so much help out there that the new moon period is a great time to address whatever issues you've been facing at the beginning of this month. Because the whole point of this is for you to feel comfortable and to feel like you're living your purpose and you're enjoying your day-to-day life. It's not about struggling along alone. Uranus squares Mars from the 16th of July until the 2nd of August. And Uranus is the rebel, the planet of the unexpected, and Mars is the warrior planet, the soldier. This square will create a lot more fun and a lot more irreverence in your life, okay? And I think you're really going to lighten up now around the 16th of July. I don't think you're going to take things so seriously, and you're going to stop worrying about other people so much and what they think, and you're just going to go your own way and say, well, what pleases me and how can I move forward with this? And that's what you're going to look at. So that's really positive. That's there until the 2nd of August, so the end of the month is really, it's a month of two halves. First half then is really serious and quite challenging, whereas the second half can be quite fun and lighthearted and upbeat. Venus goes into Virgo on the 19th of July, and that's right on top of your midheaven. And what this indicates to me is that you're going to start questioning your job and whether you like the job that you do. I think you're going to be discerning and question what it is you love and what it is you love to do work-wise. So that's a valid question. Look into that and see whether the job itself pleases you. I told you before to kind of really focus on the working side of things and not the personality so much. But if you could be in a situation where you can have both the work and the personalities, and you see any opportunities to make those changes, then by all means look into that. But I think that will become a question anyway. Another T-square appears on this day as well and stays in your chart for 10 days. And this T-square is also a reminder to fulfill your hopes and dreams and to be happy and to have harmonious relationships in your life and to reduce the level of conflict while improving your financial situation as well. So it's not about, I'm going to get out of this job because I can't take it and I'm going to just take some job that pays me half because I don't want to be around those people anymore. It's about being productive and saying, I'm good at this job. Is there anything that will pay me more and that has the potential for greater harmony in my working relationships? If yes, then pursue that, but don't just throw things up in the air to escape one situation to replace them with something that seemingly looks better on the surface. Mercury goes into Leo then on the 25th, and this is now the best time for you to actively learn, to improve your skills, to really start speaking to people in a productive helpful way, where people now, something is really shifted, where you are now seen to have the expertise and people really let you speak rather than insisting on them speaking and you listening to them, okay? And I think you're much more comfortable in this kind of situation. And I feel like the experiences you've had during the month, so the learning, the expanding your horizons, possibly the traveling, those experiences can be now used to really put yourself in a position of authority where you can really teach other people. There's also a grand trine in water in the chart. Okay, and the answer here is that some of these feelings that you found difficult to manage, it's about asking for help and asking other people who've had similar experiences how they've transformed this. So don't try and figure all of this out by yourself. Other people can help you. And again, it's about literally applying yourself to become teachable. You're not teachable at the beginning of this month. You have a bit of a problem this month, Sagittarius, okay? You've got to really lighten up, because all of this conflict, it doesn't lead to anything. I mean, conflict is a necessary part of life, okay? We have to have conflict to get changes made. But conflict is only useful if there's actually something that can be changed at the end of it. Whereas what I see with you this month is just a lot of conflict because everyone else is wrong and you're right. There's nothing actually constructive about that, because we all know that no one is ever totally right. So I really want you to get rid of all of that conflict in July by just literally going into the month and saying, I will be teachable. I will be teachable. I don't have all the answers. I will be teachable. And I want you to make that your mantra for July. Virgo then goes into retrograde on the 25th, and it stays in retrograde until the 8th of September. All the personal planets retrograde. Mercury is the most famous one that retrogrades. So does Venus and so does Mars. When Venus retrogrades, it makes you reassess what it is you love and what you care about, what your beliefs are and what your values are. And it kind of cools you off a little bit. So this month, again, has not been particularly easy for you. But now with Venus going into retrograding, I think you reevaluate your position and your part in situations. So don't beat yourself up or anything, but just allow the insights to come through and see how you can manage your relationships better so you don't have so many upsets or conflicts. Finally, the month ends with a full moon on the 31st of July. And this is an interesting month because this is the second full moon of the month. We had a full moon on the 2nd in Capricorn, and now we've got another full moon. And when you've got two full moons in a month, that's called a blue moon. And that's where that saying comes from, once in a blue moon, because it's so rare. The next one that is going to happen is in January 2018, so it's a ways off. And when you do have two moons, it makes that month especially productive. A new moon is like a flowering, a blossoming, okay? And for you, you have to watch out for that this month, because your tendency to only listen to yourself, especially this month, is going to be amplified. But on the flip side of that, once Venus goes into retrograde, you're going to be the sign of the chart here that really is able to review the most and to learn the most from July 2015, because you're going to see how your actions have impacted you and other people, and you're really going to evaluate that the most constructively, and you're going to be able to learn the most about you and how you interact with other people in a working situation and a family situation out of all of the signs this chart. So you really use this to learn, which doesn't always feel comfortable, but these kind of lessons are going to serve you for the rest of your life, and you're going to be in a position where you come across much better and you don't have these kind of pitfalls. Because you know, the worst is when you are with a group of people and you think things are going a certain way and people are perceiving you a certain way, and then afterwards you go away from it and it's completely different. It can be a real shock to the system, and you really learn how to avoid that for future reference. So it's liberating. If you would like a private reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. You can also email me. The address is readings@gregoryscott.co.uk, and please remember to subscribe to the channel. Have a wonderful, productive, kind of helpful July, and I will speak to you soon.